Further from the exclusive from CNN Network 18, today we have a world exclusive at Citti Media, going in depth and a little bit more detail about the actions, the legal lawsuits against Twitter. And to do that further, I have our very esteemed guest, Pandit Satish Sharmaji, who's joining us all the way from Bharat. Welcome, Panditji. Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna, Sloniji. Thank you for the chance to speak about this fast developing story.
Yes, absolutely. There's lots happening at the moment with Twitter and the legal actions against it. And even just yesterday, I was reading how the American people are wanting the ex-legal head, Vijaya Gadde, in prison, they're saying, because they feel that she, threw the 2020 presidential election for them.
Yes, this has opened up a real can of worms. Nations and media companies, they really are required to honor the, shall we say, national boundaries and other boundaries as well. But what seems to be happening now is that Twitter, under the guidance and control of this Vijaya lady, completely flouted all norms of international diplomacy, all norms of maintaining some respect for international relations. And so what we're actually doing, we've had lots of conversations with lawyers now, and it seems as though we're beginning to wade through the morass and start to get to a particular understanding of what the situation is. Here's what we've understood so far. Since Elon Musk has taken over, and that's a wonderful development, we're all very, very pleased that he has done so. Since his takeover, clarity is beginning to emerge as to who was making the decisions. And one thing that we've noticed is that Jack Dorsey may not have been as responsible as we often thought he was. Do you remember the placard with Smash Brahminical Patriarchy in front of him? And we all looked at him, we thought, this poor chap hasn't got a clue as to what he's doing. And that seems to have been the case. He wasn't, it seems, to be the principal person responsible for the decisions that were being made. And so we come then to Vijaya Gadde. And you're right. If you have a look from our Hindu perspective, we're quite concerned about the impact of the messaging that Twitter was proliferating. And we saw this the most when the human rights of Hindus, not just in the United Kingdom, which we're principally concerned with, but in Bharat as well, were actually being influenced by the news that they were proliferating. There is a logical chain of evidence to, shall we say, support the Islamist messaging that was going on throughout the Leicester period and the run-up to it. For almost a year and a half, the run-up to it, there was a distinct bias. Anti-Hindu tropes were being circulated and proliferated. We saw the terrible impact that had in Leicester. And all of these, the cumulative effect, the momentum that was built up, it led to violence on the streets in Leicester. And despite many people challenging the publication of those tweets, the ones from the Islamist groups who we saw, all those horrific videos threatening Hindus and all sorts of things, they were not removed. And yet what we did see was that the pro-Hindu voices were actually removed. And so we're now getting to the point of clarity where it does seem that Vijay Gadde was the person taking responsibility and making these decisions and calls. And so she would certainly be the person who I think, as opposed to Twitter, the company, who I think the lawyers will now be focusing on trying to understand what the situation is. It's an international aspect. We've had interference in matters to do with the Indian state. Now we've got interference to do with the safety and well-being of Hindus in the United Kingdom. So these are areas where lawyers are going to be scratching their heads. But I think culpability is becoming much, much more clearer who was responsible and what we need to do with that.
Yes, I mean, this has seemed to open a huge can of worms because it's not just Hindus who are victims here. We're seeing it around the world. And we've noticed how Twitter have chosen to push a narrative rather than be an objective platform for free speech. As we know, Elon Musk had to spend £44 billion to take that back. In fact, just recently in Wall Street Journal, he was saying that he won't be able to satisfy 100% of the people, but he's looking to satisfy 80% and not the 10% of the extremists on either side,
Mm,
because they're
mm.
the ones that were being catered for, maybe funding Twitter, who knows, it will all come to light soon. But even recently with the Hunter Biden emails, it was discovered how Twitter were going to handle this and how to push the narrative for this. I mean, it does make you wonder what kind of power they had, and all of the social media platforms, like you said, people can report, offensive tweets, but they're not being removed because whoever the invigilators are looking at them are being subjective and not objective.
Yeah, it's a fundamental established law that either you're a platform or you're a publisher. If you're a publisher, then you can control opinion and you broadcast the fact that you're controlling opinion. But if you're actually a platform, then what you're doing is you're confined to applying your filters and your guidelines within the statutes and within the statements such as the freedom of speech, the First Amendment, and all of those sorts of things. And you can't have it both ways, and you certainly can't have it selectively both ways, that you decide which cause is one that you're going to present as a platform and which cause you're going to then transform yourself and wear a hat of being a publisher. And so that's going to be a major stumbling block for the company itself. But I do feel that culpability lies with a few people as opposed to the company. And if Elon Musk has the capacity to introduce changes, I'm confident that with such a global platform, the harm that's been done could be reversed. But what I do not want to see is that the culprits who leverage such a powerful platform for biased manipulation, maybe even gerrymandering, all sorts of electoral interference, and indeed proliferating hate speech against Hindus, they mustn't be allowed to get off scot-free. It would be a good development to hear from Twitter's lawyers that they themselves also investigating the manner in which the value of the company was damaged as a result of the actions of these particular employees. So yes, more legal discussions and explorations to go, but the process is now underway. And as things develop, we'll bring them to you.
Yes, I think going forward from this, though, there'll be a lot of lessons learned, both for companies and also seeing a lot of fake accounts being created on these platforms to push narratives. There's bots, there's fake accounts. Do you think maybe a way forward, maybe a future way on social media is to have like a KYC, know your customer documentation? So none of these tropes can be branded around because it's caused a lot of damage, it's caused violence, it's caused a lot of destruction. It's not to be taken lightly.
Well, as I've said before, I saw the injuries that were inflicted upon the young men in Leicester, knife wounds and stab wounds, very serious, serious injuries. We were just so fortunate that there wasn't a death and something very serious would have happened. But the fact still remains that verified Twitter handles were proliferating tropes. And so there's no issue that were they bots or were they automated or false accounts. They were verified handles. And being verified handles, publications like the BBC, the Times, the Guardian picked those tweets up and then proliferated them. So I think the issue is really down to human intervention, manipulation of the algorithm to support and proliferate very particular agendas. And that is a problem.
Yes, no, absolutely. I mean, moving forward now, I'm not sure where we go from here. Once the law claims have been settled and hopefully names have come to light and truth has come to light, we can then, as a whole world, gauge peace again. Because, like you said, you're either a, a platform for everyone or you are subjective, and we know whether you're left or right. Where do we go from here, Panditji?
Wherever we go, it's good news, because what has happened now is a lot of people who've been wanting to bring balance into the Twitter space, they've developed muscles, they've developed the capacity to engage, they've been pushing, and all of those people now have the opportunity, hopefully, to start contributing their opinion and their perspective into this very powerful channel. So I think it's good news. We just need to have some sort of exemplary resolution to the manner in which these individuals flagrantly broke the law, international law as well. And so that will be, I think that would be a good conclusion. Hopefully, Elon Musk will drive it to that conclusion.
Yes, I mean he did pay 44 billion pounds. Dollars. I think he's really overpaid. Even he said so himself. But isn't it concerning? Because we've kind of been through this a little bit before with Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, where it was found they mess with algorithms, they started to sway public opinion, that sort of thing. Yet Twitter hadn't learnt from that. What do you think would really stop these people?
I don't think it's a question of Twitter learning or not learning. The fact remains is that there is a segment of our society who do not value the, shall we say, the rules, the norms, the laws that it's taken a long time for society to develop. You know, there is an element of anarchy which says we can flout whatever guidelines have been established. We don't care about the First Amendment. We can make whatever decisions we choose. And these are actually anarchists, and they act in a manner contrary to democracy as well. And so, you know, democracy is fundamental. It says that the majority, who are generally good, come to a conclusion, and then the loser gracefully steps out of the field and gives the winners in a democratic system free rein to exercise what the public have chosen. The people who we're dealing with, they have decided, well, it doesn't matter what democracy is saying, it doesn't matter what the guidelines that the common man has come together to establish. We're going to flout all of them, and we're going to do what we want to do. And that's fundamentally anarchist. And there is no real room for that sort of stuff in a democratically evolving society.
Totally agree. Yet these sadly anarchists were given all of these platforms that have a lot of influence. So hopefully those people will be brought to light that allowed these platforms to be given to these people without any question. So let's see where it
I'm
goes.
confident. I'm confident, but I think we in the centre space will have to press forward with every action at our disposal to ensure that the balance is re-established.
Bandiji, thank you so much for your insights for today, and we look forward to your return from Bharat. Here in the UK, we're missing you, and look forward to some more updates on the Twitter files. Thank you again.
Thank you
Jai
very
Shri
much,
Ram.
Sanji. Jai Shri Ram.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.